It's Wombat Jones for Ramen Chokehold. I'm joined by the reigning, defending middleweight DFC champion, Shane Mitchell. How you going, Triple A?
Good, mate. Thank you. How are you?
I'm not going bad, not too bad, mate. Well, the first thing I want to talk to you about is the Triple A. Now, I heard in commentary that someone actually finally asked you what it meant, but why don't we tell everyone exactly what Triple A is? Because it's not you're not rating yourself, are you?
Nah. That originates back from my second fight ever when I fought Charles August. For those who don't know, Charles August he was the K1 world champion at the time. And my second fight ever is his 50th. Took him on a last note. I think it was like 2 weeks notice. I took him on. Didn't do too bad, to be honest. As in, got to probably won the first round, but then got caught in the second round of a TKO. But then after that, yeah, some people just started saying, "Oh," and then from there on, I just started taking a lot of fights. I fought 9 times in space of just over a year, and then because I was just taking whatever fights I could, and the people just started saying, "Oh, he's happy to take anyone. I like take on anyone, anytime, anywhere." And then that's where it originates from Ike, and that's where Ike just started calling me Triple A because I was just taking on fights, yeah, anytime, anywhere, anyone, yeah.
And mate, if you have a look at your record, you're not shitting anyone because it's littered with the who's who. So, mate, there's the Triple A. But what about when you first started martial arts? You know, what's your base? You know, a lot of people come from, judo or something like that in Australia. But what's your actual base?
That's stand up for sure. I've always been a striker. Don't mind a bit of wrestling, but always been a striker. I originate when I was younger from like karates and stuff like that. Then went a bit more into my kickboxing. So that was always my go-to. Then the wrestling and that coming a bit later.
And like, how old were you when that was happening?
Well, martial arts, the karate stuff, I probably started back when I was like 5, 6 years old, as in real young age. Um, got serious with the MMA at about 18. And then the wrestling and jiu-jitsu, I've always did a little bit once I started the whole MMA scene about 18, but then I started picking up real heavily in the last, say, 3 years, which I only got my purple belt in BJJ a week or two ago. But yeah, so that's about it, really. Like the wrestling and that all come along piece by piece at the start, but I only started really amping up my BJJ in the last few years.
And congratulations on the purple belt too, mate. I've seen that on your social media. You must be pretty proud of that,
Oh
eh?
yeah, definitely. That was a big achievement. It goes fast, like it goes quick. Just going from only doesn't seem like long ago I was the white belt. Now, yeah, I'm in that purple belt level, which has been going great.
Awesome, man. Now you're from a little bit of a rough neck of the woods down there in South Australia, aren't you? What was it like growing up in that sort of place, and how's the support been from the family? In your martial arts journey.
Yeah, growing up as a young one, definitely had a few little brawls, few troubles. Um, it's probably the rough area was more the early start of my age, as in later, literally started later primary school to early high school type of age. It's a bit more rougher. Um, Luckily enough, I could always hold my own ground. I think my parents got me a lot into my martial arts now because I guess I needed it. And every kid sort of needed it around that age, though, I reckon. But yeah, that's as I say, the rougher side of things. As in, yeah, it started at a young age. It's helped a lot. As in, got me it's what's pushed me into mixed martial arts.
Do you remember watching MMA for the first time?
Oh man, nah, I can't actually tell you that, to be honest. Um, I'm trying to think what it was. I reckon it would have been the days back when the good days, good light heavyweight days with your good old Chocolate Dells,
Chuck Liddell and that, yeah, for sure.
your Rampage Jacksons and your Vandalays and that. It would have been those days. Pride days as well. That's when I would have very first started watching it. I used to love like Kevin Randleman. He used to be my favorite fighter. Um, but then I'd say then it went on to more the GSP era. He was my favorite back when he was the champ. But then after that, to be honest, I lost a bit of, ever since I started getting real focus on my career, I've actually lost a bit of touch with who's who in the UFC. As in, I know obviously your top level guys, but I probably don't watch it as much as I used to be honest, because a lot of it I'm focusing on my own stuff. still watching the top level guys, seeing what they're doing and taking in a bit of that. But I reckon I was into it more a few years ago than I am now. Like watching wise, like I said, I'm more focused on my own training now.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, I'm totally on the local scene now. Like, UFC's kind of playing their tricks with all their freaking extra belts and all that sort of
Yeah.
shit. So, local MMA is where it's at for me, my man. But before we talk about your fight, I want to get a prediction for you. This is I'm going to get you to do two, but this is your first one. Conor versus Khabib. I've got to ask everyone, man. Who
Man,
you got? Not who you want to win, but who do you think actually will win?
I know a lot of people probably think I'm biased because I'm a stand-up fighter, but Conor, man, I reckon Conor's hands are dangerous. As in, Khabib's got that. Khabib does have holes in his guard. Khabib is tough, but there's a lot of people who have said that Conor won't be able to knock them out, and Conor knocks them out. I think if Khabib leaves those holes in his guard, Conor will catch him. Me, I honestly feel if it's a quick finish, should be Conor, but if Conor leaves it too late, Khabib will outgrind him. Khabib will, if Conor starts losing that gas, I reckon Khabib will run over him. So if it's an early finish, I reckon it's Conor. Later in the if it goes later in the fight, I reckon Khabib will run over him.
Mate, that is one of the best fence-sitting answers I have ever received.
Yeah. Hard one, man. It's a hard one, man.
Oh, no, mate, don't ask me to pick either. So I've got to put you on the line, though, mate. But let's talk about your fight. Let's get into it. This will be your fourth main event in as many fights for Diamondback, and I've heard nothing but amazing things coming out of there. Tell me what that room's like, man. I've heard it's such a special room and it's going to be pretty darn full. Like, and you've been the main billing for the last three. What's it going to be like come next Friday night?
I love it. I like the arena. That's great. It's huge, big, loud, like new as well. I don't know if a lot of people probably don't know that Allied Oval has just been recently done up, so it's brand new. Don't even know how old it is, but it's a huge room. Like I said, they're huge high ceilings and like the view, the windows, looking over the city and that. It's great. I love the room. Big capacity as well. Like it's pretty big shows. And I've been to like AFC. Going to that I think Hex and AFC were out in both of the Melbourne
Pavilion.
Yeah, I was gonna to be honest, like the room itself is bigger. So I say it's matching all the other promotions out there in Australia, which is great. And a lot of people think Little Old Adelaide just won't have what it takes to pull big shows. But I think until you come and see it, they have no idea. They have no idea. Like nearly everyone who comes over from interstate and sees the show for themselves is surprised as in how good it is.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, main event. You're taking on Rick Ouchin, who's let's face it, he's one of the OGs. He goes back quite a way. He's had quite a lot of fights. In his last fight, he suffered a horrific leg injury. He broke his legs. I think his tibia and his fibia, both kind of like an Anderson Silva kind of thing. And what do did you see that fight? And it's a pretty quick turnaround for him. But do you think that maybe might play with him mentally a little bit?
I don't know, man. He seems, like I said, he's a bit of an OG. He's been around for a long time. He's had double the amount of fights I've had. He must be a tough dude, though. If he's had that many fights, he's got to be conditioned. He's not afraid to get in there. He knows what it's all about. If anything, I don't think it'd be playing his mind. I imagine if he's still coming off of injury, as in it's not 100% better, he will be wary of it. But why wouldn't you be? But yeah, I can't see it affecting his fight game. As in, I believe he'll still come in and do what he plans on trying to do. So yeah, I don't think too much about it, to be honest.
And what do you think he's going to try and do?
I'd imagine he'd try and get me to the floor at some point. He seems like the type of guy he's willing to stand for a bit, which is good because that's what I think that's what everyone wants to see. He's a big dude, big middleweight. He's got some power behind him. Everyone loves seeing two dudes punching on. But yeah, I don't know. I can see him probably trying to stand for a little bit and eventually looking for the takedown. But I'm pretty used to that now after everyone's sort of figured out I'm a stand-up fighter. It seems to be what everyone does, which in a way is good for me because it's all I pretty much train for. It's because it's what everyone's trying to do.
And do you watch a lot of tape on your opponents? Do you take a lot of that sort of thing? That approach?
To be honest, I only ever look at their most recent fights. If the fight isn't within, say, 2 years, I don't even look at it because I know how much someone can evolve in 2 years. It's like myself. Like if you look at videos of me and how I fought like 2 or more years ago, you're tripping if you're coming in to try and beat me with what you've got there, because I'd fight nothing like I do 2 years ago. So yeah, that's the same here. Like, I don't look at. I try not to take in anything that's not recent. Um, and from what I've seen, like I don't feel I have any problem with what I'm coming up against.
And like
So
you said, you got your purple belt a couple of weeks ago, and you've been working over there at ISO Health BJJ.
yeah.
But when you shift your focus like that, how do you sort of improve your skills stand up wise as well?
I'm training full time now, so I've got plenty of time to train. I'm training more than twice a day. Like, I'm getting at least like 4 or 5 hours in a day at least. So I got time to train. Some in the mornings I might do some wrestling, at night I'll do my striking. Got times I do my strength conditioning. I got plenty of time now. I cut back a lot on work. I had to sacrifice a lot to do what I'm doing. As in, so if I want to go far with this, I know I've got to take it serious. So I've cut back a lot on work, to be honest. Uh, Even to be honest, like I said, I had to move in. Like, I was for a few years there, I was out of home. Now I'm back at home, just because I had to cut back work just so that I can train and afford to live, pretty much. So that's what I mean. I've sacrificed a lot of time so I can train and cover all these areas and go as far as I can.
And like, so with all that in mind, do you see this fight as your most important one today?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I treat every fight like that, though. I think my Radcliffe, like my last fight, was really important. To be honest, the first off, my Rapati fight was real good icebreaker, as in coming across to just like be a bit of a veteran. Took out some top guys. They took out Sam Alvey. He's currently in the UFC. I think he's been there for a while now. He's a New Zealand champion. He's fought in light heavyweight, and he was like had a can't remember if he had an 8-1 record coming to that. Yeah, taking him out was my first big step. Got me a bit noticed. Taking out Radcliffe was a huge notice, and the guy fighting in Bellator with a record of 12-2, I believe at the time it was something like that. Yeah, that was a huge step up. After that is when things changed a lot, as in guys were calling me out, and my name was just getting out there. Hit the #1 ranking in Australia. Then, like I said, now this fight coming in, I said just because some of these boys, like I said, Rick might not have fought on these shows like Bellator or etc. But like I said, he's still a guy who's had 30 fights under his belt, like BJJ black belt. I'm going to come across these guys, and if I want to hit the UFC, I'm going to come across these black belts, these huge middleweights. So, like I said, definitely is an important fight for me. I've got to make sure I win it. So, like I said, if I want to step into the UFC, I need the wins.
And as you know, my man, timing's absolutely everything when it comes to getting a crack into the UFC. And the timing kind of lines up really good for you being the hometown boy. You know, December 2nd, obviously UFC's coming to town. Is it something that's on your mind at all? Are you trying to put that out of your head and just focus on this task that's at hand next week? Or
possible not to think about it, man. It's there. It's right there. As in, it's coming here in December. Top ranked Australian middleweight is it's my hometown. Like, it's my shot, realistically. Like, you think if anyone's going to get the shot, it's going to be me, being a hometown boy, #1, working my ass off. They know I want it. Everyone else around knows I want it. So, yeah, it's impossible not to think about it. But like you said, I do need to get this fight over first, go well, prove more in this fight, and then hopefully, yeah, get that contract. That'd be nice. That'd be the plan. That'd be the goal.
And what would something like that mean to you, you know, if you were to actually sneak on that card and debut there?
Oh, man, that's the dream. As in, like, that's why I was going back to saying that I've sacrificed so much these past years to the point of moving back home. Like, the whole point of this, moving back home and training full time is so I can get these contracts so I can move back out of home. So it's the dream. It's the dream I've always wanted. Is, I want to make it my full-time job. I'd love to not have to work weekends, like be able to train all week and still be able to enjoy a weekend. Because right now, like I said, I'm training all week and I'm working all weekend. I haven't got a day where I just sit there and do nothing. Like, I've got no days to go out and relax. Can't go out, and never do I get to go out for dinner, or in the summer I'd go enjoy the beach or something like that. But that's the dream, is in be able to make my fighting full time and just be able to focus everything on that. And who knows where that can take me.
So, mate, before we move on, give us a little prediction for the fight. What are you calling?
Nah, me, like I say, I'm a stand-up fighter. I finished all my. Like, I was only in one fight, which was for Party, who went the distance. I'm always going to be a guy who says I can finish the fight. I can always see knockouts and TKOs with the guy standing in front of me. Saying that, I'm happy to go the distance, but I feel I will get the stoppage. Not that I'll chase it, but I find that's when I get the stoppages is when I'm just fight. I just go in there, fight. I prepare myself for 5 rounds. Yeah, but I feel there's the stoppages there.
And so let's talk about the UFC middleweight division a little bit then. If you're looking to crack into that, you must be keeping your eyes on, the top sort of 15 guys.
Yeah,
what do you think about it at the moment? Obviously, at the top, we've got an Aussie in there with Robbie Whittaker, and he's done freaking amazing things, especially coming from this area. I mean, back in the day, he's fighting on, sort of XFC and Super Fight Series and all these sort of cards.
He's grown up through some of the promotions I've been around, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Is that something that you've looked at and that's sort of inspired you?
Yeah, definitely. Like I love Whittaker is one guy. Like I said, I don't follow many fighters, but Whittaker's one I do follow. I love the way how he's just come through. Like he's not training out of these big super gyms. He might be traveling and doing his training here and now. I don't know. But I just love the fact that he stayed home. He stayed true to himself. Like he's fighting out of these gyms that, like I said, no one really knew the gyms he was fighting out of, and all of a sudden he's a champ. These guys have just built up a champ. Like that's what I love about Whittaker. Is that he's tough. He's tough as hell. Everyone, you can't deny it. As in, dude breaks his hand and just fights the whole fight out.
It was a clean break too, wasn't it? Like it wasn't a fracture.
Most guys would be stopping that. That's what. Yeah, got to everyone. Like I said, can't deny that Whittaker's a strong fighter. As in, you got to respect him as a fighter. That's for sure. Like I said, he's come from Australia. Like, he's made his way up on his own. You don't hear about him like training and moving around to all these super gyms and stuff like that. Yeah, like it's a good thing as in makes you realize like you don't need to be at these huge ridiculous camps of all these absolute guns around you to become the champ.
And mate, before I let you go, we're going to have to talk about it. I know it's been brought up in other interviews, but the axe throwing, mate. What is going on with the axe throwing? Seriously, like how long would it take a bloke like me to pick up an axe and hit the target? Like honestly.
Oh mate, I taught my brother today. We were throwing it out today. My brother rocked up, came over, and I just told him, "I stand about here, do this, do that," and he got it first shot. So
beginner's luck, or like he could keep going.
He kept going. He did well. It's probably not as hard as what people think. As soon as you get the range. If you can throw something pretty straight, then you're all right.
Well, you're gonna have to do it at distance or something, then, mate. Let's see how far you can nail it.
Once you understand, it's a bit too. Once you know where to throw it from, it's pretty easy.
Now, mate, before we go, one player game in the cage, out of the cage, you got a whole team behind you, obviously, of supporters and maybe sponsors and gym members and all that sort of thing. So the floor's now yours, to give them a little bit of a shout out.
Oh, shout out! First of all, I'll start off with ISO Health because I've just jumped on board ISO Health probably about a year ago. And these guys have been a massive help. Guys with Matt, like training under Wombat Jones, all my ground game, even my clinching, my stand up, and that. Then I got there's a shit ton of fighters under those guys. Main shout out to like Dan Curry and Matt Dockrell, like those boys. We're in, week out. They're both fighting on DFC as well. I have to give a huge shout out to those guys because they've helped me huge, like coming up into this fight. Besides that, I've got my Cardio Flex crew. So it's Ike. He's the main man. He's the coach out there. We've got our wrestling coaches. We've got Kyle, Taylor, and Chris. Man, the amount of fighters we got out there is ridiculous. I have to shout out to my best mate, Brad Wally, though. He's been a big help for me. He's day in, day out. Totally different weight class. He's only a little flyweight, but like I said, he helps me out. He helps me out when he can. And my man, like Jared Bark, he's also been another help. He's always been in my corner. Here's another one. Like he's helped me through physically and mentally. Like, I love having him around. But besides that, like I said, it's his friends, family. They're always there to help me. My family's huge. As in, like the help they give me is ridiculous. As in, I couldn't do it without my family. That's for sure. And then my sponsors, Supplement Warfare.
Oh well,
yeah. Yeah, like I say, big shout out to them. They've helped me along the way. He's been sponsored by him for I reckon at least 4 years now, 3-4 years. They've helped me out heaps. If I need a hand, they help me out with anything. So I've got to shout out to them. Like I said, they've been a huge help, and I think I'll be with them to the end, I reckon.
Fantastic, mate. Well, thanks so much for spending time with me. The reigning and defending DFC middleweight champion. It all goes down next Friday, 17th of August. I'm going to be there. You're going to be there, champion. Thanks so much, and I'll see you there.
Thank you. See you there.